So let's get started. I welcome you all to the Workday HCM Mastery Come Demo session. Today we are going to discuss a few things about Workday. We're going to set the expectations of what you should be expecting from this course and what we will be covering, the scope of the course, the topics that we are going to cover, how it's going to help you, and a bit about the market trends and all. And also, definitely we'll have a good amount of time for Q&A, so that whatever questions you have, I'll definitely try to answer those as much as possible. But also to understand that in day and age of using artificial intelligence, the different AI tools, a lot of questions are getting much better responses. But we'll talk about that as well as and when we move forward. Now, the HR landscape has been evolving since the Workday system came into the market, which was back in 2005 and 2006. That's when Workday was founded by two guys who are also responsible for another system called as PeopleSoft. I'm sure some of you must have heard of it. So the same people founded Workday because PeopleSoft was taken over by Oracle during a hostile acquisition. So they left and started Workday, which became a big hit in the market, and PeopleSoft is still something which is way behind in the league. And during the COVID time, Workday already had built a base, kind of strong foundation in the market that every medium to large enterprise company was using Workday. In fact, as of I think 2 weeks earlier, when I was reading an article, more than 70% of the Fortune 500 companies, which means the top 500 companies, about 70% of that, they use Workday. Now, what does that tell us? That if companies which are Fortune 500 companies, the top 500 companies in the world, if majority of them are using Workday, definitely there's something about the system that is useful to these companies. And it's not just one industry, it's in every industry, be it education, be it healthcare, be it IT sector, be it manufacturing, be it mining, be it financial institutions or financial institutions love Workday. So keeping that in mind, you need to have a bit of a mindset that there are tons of jobs in the market out there. The thing that you have to learn is how to present yourself. Right. With that, let's move to again, talking about the benefits of being into the Workday market. The salaries are pretty good. The career growth is pretty decent. When I say decent, it means that in a couple years or maybe in 2-3 years, you can easily move to the next role. It's not that. So in a span of 10 years, you can move from like someone who just started to maybe a manager or a senior manager, maybe a director level as well. The demand is all across. I have traveled. Yeah. My journey started for Workday in the United States itself after I did completed my master's. So I worked in the United States. I worked in Europe, specifically in Netherlands, because of Workday. So I'm grateful for the system. I'm very passionate about it. That's why I do these trainings. And I hope I could benefit all of you from this as well. There's a ton of remote opportunities, and when you work in a Workday ecosystem, you'll realize it's not like other ecosystem where it's difficult for you to get help. The Workday ecosystem, whether you're working remote or in office or in a hybrid setup, all of these, the ecosystem of Workday is pretty supportive. Anytime you need help, there are so many groups, user groups. You can put a question on LinkedIn, you can put a question anywhere. You will find answers. You will find some people to help you out. That's the power of Workday. And definitely, if you are certified in this Workday, it is definitely an added advantage. So I'm going to skip a few of these. So some prerequisites, I personally do not believe that these prerequisites apply to everyone. Certain things that are pointed out here, like the basics understanding of HR concepts and processes, it's not a must have. It's a good to have. So I should say good to have. because anyone can learn Workday. You don't need to be an HR professional to be learning Workday. But if you're in the HR and finance field, it becomes a bit more convenient for you to learn. Why? Because you're familiar with the terminologies, you're familiar with the language of the HR and finance space. That's all. Definitely, this is a must have. You should be familiar with whatever machine you're using, whether Windows or Mac OS. Excel skills, yes. English fluency must. And this is definitely needed. Right? So, except for the first one, all of these are must have. And these things really make a difference. The better you are in communication, the better it will be for you get started and get the job. Some things that are nice to have if you have any previous system experience. Familiarity with payroll or benefits, I don't agree to this. So let's skim that. Basic knowledge of business process design. Now, what does this mean? It is basically meaning that you should familiarize yourself in designing a process. It doesn't have to be a workday process. It can be a daily process as well, like setting up your daily routine. That's a process. You should be good in that. Exposure to cloud-based platforms. So even if you have used any other system or any other cloud-based application, it will also help. Like I said, none of these is a mandate. These are good to have. These are not must-have. All right, so I'm going to make some changes here. I'm going to explain what we are going to cover. So the 4-month blueprint is for the mastery program. That's a different one. We are going to be spending about 2 months together, or precisely 1.5 months, which is about 6 weeks, right? But you all will have the system access. So yes, you all will get system access for 2 months, which is 8 weeks. Excuse me, my handwriting. I'm writing it digitally. So for 8 weeks, you will have complete access to the tenant. You can practice anytime you want. You can practice however much you want. The more you practice, the better for you. Now comes what we cover in this course, right? So for that, I will come to a different slide altogether. I need some space. So we'll be covering 6 topics, starting with the first, which is organizations. Second, staffing models. Third, job architecture, which is basically your job profile. Fourth, core compensation. Fifth, you don't need to write anything as of now. Once we'll start with the course, there are tons of notes that you will have to make. The best part is I'll tell you what you have to write. You never have to, in this course with me, you don't have to worry about, do I have to write everything that I say? No, absolutely not. I will give you time. I'll tell you exactly what you need to write. And after writing this, I'll also explain the way we teach, or the way I teach for this particular course. Security architecture. So these are the 6 topics that we are going to cover in this particular course. There are other topics as well, which are not the core concept. These are the core concepts that we are going to cover in this course. Now, this particular course is the Core HCM course. And when we talk about Core HCM, it covers these 6 core concepts that I have written down. Right? You don't need to look into the graph here. Let's just focus on these ones. And why are these important? Because these are the building blocks of your Workday architecture. You know these, you can apply these in any area of Workday. And eventually, if you plan to become an expert in a particular area, you can easily do that. But your foundation must be strong. And for your foundation to be strong, you need to be comfortable with these concepts. So just to be very clear on the expectation, this is not a module specific course. You're not going to be learning about a particular module in Workday. So if you are someone who has expectation that will be learning payroll or benefits or recruiting, no. Each Workday module is a course in itself. Like you need dedicated training to learn each and every module. But the question comes, then why this? Why can't we just directly learn, let's say, Workday recruiting or Workday payroll? Because To learn any other area of Workday, you should first understand how does employee lifecycle works in the system. Then only you'll be able to understand, okay, this is where Workday benefits come into place. So this is where Workday absence comes into place. For anything to work, whether it's benefits, absence, payroll, recruitment, time off, time tracking, goals, performance cycles, you need workers. You need employees in the system. Now, to learn how employees get into the system, you need to go through these concepts. And this is your foundation. Once you master this, once you become comfortable with this, go out in the market, start doing your job search, get a job, which you will easily get because there are tons of jobs. You just need to learn how to present yourself. So, coming back to the same point, it's kind of evident. And to be, as I was saying, that learn these, be comfortable, get a job, apply these concepts in real time, and you will definitely learn a lot on real job as well with real time examples. And then maybe after an year or sometime, think which area of workday you feel more comfortable with, or you feel it's more challenging and you want to pursue that. Then learn about that, and then you don't need any other course because you're already well versed with the core concepts. You're well versed with how things work in the system. You will have all the resources at your disposal. You may not need anyone to teach you anymore. You can learn it yourself. Why I'm saying that is because I'm a self-taught Workday consultant. I started off as a business analyst. Then I became an analyst, a systems analyst, and this was my first. This was back in US when I did the first implementation. And within a span of 4 years, I was promoted to a senior Workday analyst. Right now, I'm working as a senior manager at an organization. I manage a team of 6 people. So personal experiences, everything that I share comes from my experience. And I hope I can help you in any way possible. So let's continue with this journey together. Right. Now, what do we discuss in these 6 topics? Organization, the building block. Every company has a hierarchy of CEO, executives, directors, managers, so on and so forth. And each company has their own hierarchy. Organizations help us with those hierarchy. And then how do we use those hierarchy to staff our company comes with the staffing models. What does staffing our company means? Some questions. All these sessions are live and recorded. Once you enroll, you get access to an LMS portal where all the recordings are uploaded. So every session is recorded. Your question is integration and data migration also covered in this course? No, that's purely an integration and technical topic. This is techno-functional course. We cover mostly functional area of the Workday system. There is no integration discussion in this except for one particular topic, which is an EIB. We'll discuss that later. And just to be very clear, none of you need any programming experience. No IT experience is needed to learn Workday. Right? You can learn any system. At the end of the day, it's a software. It's a tool that you're learning. There are many other things that you need to learn besides this to become a better. You need to first be a better analyst before you can become a Workday analyst. So you'll have to learn that as well. Then comes the job architecture, which is ideated with job profile, because that is what candidates apply for. When you see an open position on a company portal, behind the scenes, that is nothing but your job profile. Then comes the core compensation, which is very important. Here you will understand the depth of configurations and also understand the difference that salary and compensation are two different things, which is kind of an important understand. SIS training, I'm not sure what SIS stands for. And whatever questions you have, guys, please raise your hand. I would prefer that you ask it during this session rather than putting it in the chat. Now, the first 4 concepts that you have, organization, staffing models, job architecture, core compensation, this covers only 40% of your core concept understanding. The concept 5th and 6th, these are the primary ones. These cover about 60% of your course curriculum. Why is security important? Because anything that you do, security, why is it the most important? Because, because anything that you see, anything that you do in the system is because you have the security for it. Okay. So it's not like you're able to see something and do something. It's because everyone can do it. If everyone can do it, that is also a secured item in the system, which is why everyone can do it. Now, once that is done, then comes your business process, which basically puts all of it together. It connects all the dots, all the topics that we have covered so far. Now, once all the dots are connected, we create our processes from scratch, like hire process, termination process, onboarding. We learn, I mean, all of you will learn how to create these processes from the beginning, which is again an in-depth dive into the configuration of the system. So covering these 6 core concepts will become the most important topics for you to learn the system. And after the 4th concept, which is the core compensation, once you complete that, I would encourage all of you to start doing your job applications. You don't have to worry about jobs before these. In fact, you don't have to worry about jobs at all. I can guarantee you there are tons of jobs. Just need to learn how to present yourself. If you have any experience, you're not a fresher. You need to learn how to leverage that experience for your next opportunity. The person who just finished the education and has no job experience, that is a person we call as a fresher. Here, you're just learning something new. You're adding a new skill into your portfolio. That does not make you a fresher. That makes you a more desirable candidate that you believe in learning. Now, with that, let's move ahead to the next one. I think that is, this is, I think we'll jump on to the, yeah. So these are the topics that we cover, and there are a couple more topics that we have, like reports, EIBs, calculated fields, which we are going to touch upon. Why touch upon? Because these are, again, topics that are dedicated course in itself. But these are expected from an HCM person, from an HCM consultant. So we'll touch upon enough that you can get by through interviews. Now, before we get into the Q&A round, right, I just want to clarify a few things. We don't do that. Or I should correct myself. I don't do student information systems. You can check with your point of contact at ZaranTech if they have any trainer who does this. Now, before we, like, as I was saying, before we get into the Q&A, the way I teach is in 3 parts for every topic. For every topic, we have a visual. Visual is not like a video or anything. It's like a whiteboard visual. I use a whiteboard. I use the whiteboard a lot, a digital whiteboard in which I will draw the visual for you in front of you during the session. I'll explain the concept through a visual first because pictures has a better memory intact than just notes and presentations. So through those visuals, you will be able to conceptualize and visualize the concept. Once we do that, we'll go to the tenant, we'll practice. We'll do the practicals of it. Once that is done, then as a last resort, to validate whatever we have done, so we didn't miss anything, we'll go through the presentation, the theory, which is also something that will be shared with all of you. Support team has shared a lot of links here, which is, there are tons and tons of resources. You don't have enough time in a day to go through those resources. That is the amount of resources we are providing. But the more content you have, the more confusion, what to start with becomes. That is why I come into picture. I tell you what you need to go through, what notes you need to make, exactly everything. But there is no spoon feeding in this course. I hate that. I'll give you the direction. You have to put in the effort. I'll tell you to use AI to build your resumes, to enhance your LinkedIn profile, But if you're asking me, can you build your resume for me? That is spoon feeding, and I hate that. In the world of artificial intelligence, if you're still someone, please don't feel bad about it. I'm telling you this so that you can evaluate where you are, right? So if you're someone who still thinks that you need assistance with building your resume, with building your presentation, you are already lost because you're not using AI for that. Whatever questions you have, you feel that this is your weak point, use AI to build that, transform that into your strength. Do not wait for anyone, do not expect anyone to help you in that. If you are here because one of your friends told you, ask your friend, how did they get into the market? What does it take to get into the system? Right? And first, decide for yourself whether you want to enter the Workday market or not. If you're someone who wants to start your Workday journey, this is the right point. This is where you get started with. If you do this properly, you will never have to worry about where do I go next. Okay. And if you're someone who has questions like, I have this many years of experience, is this the right course for me? That is not even a relevant question. Why? Let me tell you. You are asking me to make a decision for your career. I am not authorized to do that, guys. And you should not be. So, I'm not getting the right word. So, something that you should let others decide for your career. Right now, I'm a stranger to you. Obviously, once we start the course, you'll get to know me. I'll talk about myself. I'll talk about my experience. We'll connect, obviously. But you cannot ask me to decide for you whether this is the right course for you or not. I have given you simply in one line, if you want to start your Workday journey, this is the right and the best starting point. And I guarantee you, you will get the job if you follow my instructions properly. The only thing I expect from you, I've already shared what you can expect from us, what we cover in this particular course. And not just that, there's a lot of LinkedIn stuff that I'll be sharing, what you need to do on LinkedIn, and also other topics, how to become a better business analyst. There's a lot of things. So, having given all that information, you have to be consistent and curious. Consistent in doing the practice that I give you, curious in asking the questions. Okay. These are the only two things I expect. And obviously, following the instructions as and when you have to do. So, with that, I'll pause my demonstration and I'll open up the board for any question and answer. Support team, please give candidates access to raise hands so that we can have a professional way of getting through Q&A. All right, please raise your hand if you have any questions. No questions? If you don't have the hand raise option, you can just unmute yourself and ask the question. When will the class start? So, join the meeting late. Could you please share the presentation on the link shared previously? And Atia, to answer your question, I hope we are starting soon by early next week or when we can start the batch. Okay. Any other question?
Hi, Rohan. Good morning. Could we connect over the LinkedIn? Is it possible?
No, that won't be possible because
Okay.
that's a company policy that we don't allow any personal connections here because that does not result in anything good. Outside the session, if you want to connect with anyone in the group, please feel free to do that. But during the session, no permission to share any personal information.
Okay. Sure, Rohan. Thank you.
How can someone with a different background and experience start their career? That's a very good question. And if this was asked 2 years ago, I would have answered it the way I used to answer. But 2 years later, we have AI. Whoever has asked this question, I'll give you a format which you should apply when asking this question in any AI. It's a three-part step or three-step process. First part is tell the AI, this is your current experience for these many years into these industries. Second, tell it the skills that you have learned or whatever experience you have in this industry, the skills that you can transfer to the next company. If you're not sure about that, again, ask AI what are transferable skills. Transferable skills are like active listening, communications, business language. These are all transferable skills. Learning a programming language is not a transferable skill, right? Because in one company, you may be using Java, in another, you need Python. But what is transferable? The core concepts of coding. That's transferable, right? So those are the kind of transferable skills. So tell the system these are your skills. And the third part is tell the AI system this is what you want to do next because of this reason. Give the reason. And also tell that you have enrolled for a course, this and this, you'll be learning this and this. Now, in the end, tell me how do I present myself? How do I do better? Or whatever question you have related to that, that's it. You will get a very nice PDF version or an Excel or a step-by-step instruction of what needs to. I've tested, tried it. That's what I'm saying. I've given you the format, and I hope you will use that to check AI for this. All right. Any other question? Go ahead, please.
Thank you for the information. The question was from me, the previous question. So, yeah, so I do have experience in a different background over 10 years. So, the thing is right now in the market, they are looking for different modules experience, not just the core HCM. How can we portray that? You are saying like after the third session or something or core compensation, we can start applying the jobs. But I don't think it's the market is currently looking just the core HCM with plus two or three other modules. So could you please elaborate more on that? Thank you.
Absolutely. Can you please tell me why do you think market is not looking for HCM consultant? They are expecting more modules. May I ask the reasoning for that or the basis of that?
I'm not sure, like, I don't know because I don't have experience. When I look into the requirement, that's what they were asking.
Okay.
Like,
And how many requirements you would have gone through roughly on an average? I'm not asking for an exact number.
almost like I would say recently 30 to 50 requirements. I'm not
Mhm.
saying there are nothing for core HCM, but majorly it's like different kind of modules like core HCM plus this plus this.
Okay. See, when you look at open position that is available on a job site or on the company's career page, they ask you anything and everything that they can. But in reality, they need someone who is a person with strong foundational knowledge of the system, someone who can come in a very short span understand how the company culture works, upskill themselves. Because problem is not how much you know of Workday. The problem comes is whether you are the right person for the team or not. That is the way hiring happens in Workday. A person who is highly skilled in Workday but does not have basic people manners or communication skill will never get that opportunity that a person with very less experience of Workday, but with good communication skills, good team building, or being a good team player, learn how to present themselves. All these things is an active listener. All these things matter more than how much you know Workday. So I'm not disagreeing on the fact that yes, when you see an open position, you will find that they're literally asking everything which is humanly impossible for a Workday consultant to do. But your job is not to worry about that. Your job is to understand, just to filter 15% or 20% of the job description. If you can do it, if you know about that, and I'm not talking about just the Workday part. Let's say there's an open position, they're asking for Workday things, and they're also asking for certain business analyst things like requirement elicitation, having knowledge of agile ceremonies, scrum ceremonies, so on and so forth. So out of everything that is part of that job description, if you know about 15 to 20%, You don't have to be an expert in it. You just know about 15 to 20%. Go ahead, build your resume, update your resume accordingly, and apply for that role. That's the simple thumb rule you have to follow, because if you continue to look at there, as of I get a daily digest, there are about 890 open positions just in India. I'm based out in India at this moment. Just in India, there are about 890 positions. And if I go through all of them, I will not find even a single position that just says we need an HCM person with no experience. That is why I said it from the beginning, and I'm saying it again. You need to leverage your previous experience to learn how to present yourself. I'm not asking you to change your experience, not at all. Use AI, give it all the information, tell it this is what it is, this is what I'm going next. How should I present myself? And you will have your answers. And you don't need to worry at all about what they're asking in the job description, because when you actually join the company, you'll be doing something completely different. That's how the job descriptions are in the Workday market. I hope I was able to give you the reasoning and the explanation as well, what you need to focus on. Any other question?
So, how much experience do we have to put in general, like a starting position,
You
even though
don't
you
have
have?
to. You don't have to. I never said that you have to put an experience. That's like basically you're lying on your resumes. No, I'm not asking you to put an experience. I'm asking you to present yourself leveraging your existing experience. That's a completely different thing. If you're in the United States, if you're going through a consultancy, they'll definitely ask you to put a resume with added experience on it, because they can get you through the background and reference checks. But if you're applying on your own, I would strictly recommend not using that practice. If you're going
Yeah,
through
I'm
consultancy,
going
then
to apply on my own. Yeah,
yeah,
because I
then
don't
don't do
have
that.
any problem with the visa issues or anything.
See, when I say presenting yourself, you need to understand what's the gray line here. When
Got it.
let's say your resume has experience for 10 years divided into three different companies, right? When your profile goes for background verification, the background vendors, they're always a third party vendor. They're never a company, internal company vendors. No, it's always a third party company that checks your background. And what they check is your tenure and your title, nothing else. What you did in the company, they are not at all bothered about it. They'll just call the HR or whatever contact you have given in your background form. They'll call them, they'll ask whether this person was in this company from this state to this state and this was their role. They'll say yes or no. If it's a yes, you pass the background. That's all. Now, the experience in that background is what you can play around, and that you have to figure out for yourself. That is what I'm mentioning. The point that you just added in the chat, that's not correct for this course. That's correct for the integration course. We only touch upon EIBs. We don't touch core connectors, APIs, or studios. So I'd recommend you please removing that. Thank you. Oh, we have got the batch starting date as well. We'll be starting on 18th of August, which is basically 17th. So the batch timings, I just wanted to clarify that the batch timing is 7 to 8 a.m. IST every day of the week, except for Mondays, because Monday morning IST is Sunday evening for the people in the US. Now, if the folks in the US are comfortable attending a session on a Sunday evening, which I would definitely appreciate that, because if I am someone who's passionate about Workday, I get up every day early and delivering a session at 7 a.m. Previously, I used to do at 6 a.m. also, doing the daylight shift or something when that happens, which I hate, to be honest. Even when I was in US, twice a year, daylight saving, my God. And specifically living in California, daylight saving comes many times and it was very frustrating. Anyway, so if I'm someone who is putting my 100% effort in getting up early and delivering you a session every day of the week, I think having a session on a Sunday evening for the US folks does make sense. Again, it's up to you. If you're comfortable with that, if everyone agrees to it, then only we will have sessions on Sunday evenings, which is Monday morning. Now, why I'm asking you that is that way we'll be able to spend 5 days a week together from Monday to Friday for the people in the India Standard Time, which is the India time zone, and Sunday to Friday evening for people in the US time zone. Sorry, Sunday to Thursday. I'm sorry. Right. So we'll be able to spend 5 days a week. You will be able to ask as many questions as possible. We can do extra sessions as well if needed. So the more time we spend together in that 2 month period, the better it is for everyone. A quick show of hands if anyone here is in the UK or Australia or any other time zone other than IST and US. Do we have anyone? Or a quick show of hand of how many of you are in the US time zone? You can say yes, no, or give me a thumbs up, whichever is convenient. Or you can put it in the chat as well. Meena, which time zone? East or west or central?
Yeah, sorry, it's central.
What about others? Okay, EST. Okay, got the answer. Okay, William. Okay. So once we start the batch, we don't have to decide right now whether it's a 4-day week or a 5-day week. We can decide that later. Let's get started with the batch. And based on that, if everyone feels comfortable, we can then plan a 5-day week instead of 4. Right. And it's only a temporary arrangement for you just for 6 weeks. I think you guys can at 6 Sundays. Right. And in case if you miss something, you definitely have the recorded sessions to go back to. But I highly recommend that only if it's an emergency that you have to skip a session, then only skip it, because then you break the continuity for yourself and it becomes very difficult to start again. Right. Because every session, whatever session we do will be helpful for the next one. In the chat, we just got a message that all the sessions are recorded, which I already shared. Plus, you will have access to those recorded sessions for about 12 months. But don't wait for 12 months to get a job. You'll forget everything that you'll learn. That's why I said you will start doing your application during the session itself. So that by the end of the course, once we finish, you all should have interviews lined up. The last few sessions that we go through should be discussions of this is what they asked in the interview, this is what they asked. That is the goal. All right. So I'll conclude the session for the day, and I hope to see you all in the upcoming new batch. And we're going to learn a lot of new things.
Session, or is this 1.5 hour?
It's a 1 hour session, but in the beginning, the topics are a bit smaller. So it sometimes be 50 minutes, 55 minutes, or 1 hour max. But there are certain sessions like core compensation or security business process that sometimes, even if we get extended, it will be only by 5, 10, or 15 minutes maximum.
Okay.
Because I also work full time. I have to get started by 9 a.m. my time. I have to be online and get my work. I work full time as well. This is something I do because I like teaching and I'm passionate about Workday. So that's why I do it.
Okay. Thank you.
And yeah, quick question from my end. Like, we are going to start from 18 August, like 18 August in the morning, like 7 a.m.
Yes, 7 to 8 a.m. IST.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time and I hope you invested properly and we'll connect again. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day and the week.